Hello, welcome to the 107th episode of the Karstcast Moviecast. Jeff, what is the oldest? And honestly, Nate, you can answer too if you want. In what state is the oldest winery in the United States?
See, I feel like the obvious answer is California, so it's probably not that.
I have a guess.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, okay. What's your guess?
Wait, okay, what state is Plymouth in? Plymouth Rock.
There's a few. Well, that's
Is
Massachusetts.
That's Massachusetts?
I don't know.
I feel like they were making
Right.
wine as soon as they hit the states. That was like the first thing they were doing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Vermont.
Okay. That's close. It's New York. Close, but not entirely there.
So the Pilgrims
yeah.
weren't. Wait, the question was, what
Is-
state has the oldest winery?
Yeah, in what state is the oldest
Yeah.
winery in the United States? So honestly, it may not be the first.
Does that mean the
but
first? Yeah. So it's just the oldest one.
This
that
is the
still
one.
exists.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to the question, but great start. Anyway, if you guys could tell, we have a special guest this week. You may know him as Mr. Simp Sexual or many other things. Thanks for being here, Nate Varrone.
Of
hope I said
course.
that
Thank
right.
you for having me on.
Nate Varrone.
Varrone? Okay.
I should have told you how to pronounce it before we
See,
started.
it's totally fine.
my roommate also follows and knows you, and she told me it's Nate Varrone, so whatever works.
I think
That works. It's up for interpretation. That's how I view my last name.
Yeah.
I've known Nate for a while at this point because we used to make some videos when Nate lived in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me and Jeff go way back, and Jeff is such a talented director, cinematographer, editor. He just does everything, and I was just a fucking idiot comedian in Chicago, and somehow stumbled into Jeff, and he's just so great to work with, and we made I don't know, three or four videos together, and I don't know, those were some of the most fun I've had making stuff in my career in doing comedy in Chicago. So
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
I've only seen Versace Angels, but really like that
I
one.
felt the opposite. I felt like your level of comedy was way above my skill in helping you make it.
oh my god, no way. I was honestly, I can't believe I have a real a person that knows what they're doing, because all I knew how to do was just perform, and I was kind of dipping my toe into directing and stuff like that. So I was oh my god, this guy has is going to school for this stuff, and has gear and knows how to edit and shoot everything. So it made me feel more comfortable making stuff, honestly.
Well, I'll take that. It made you feel more comfortable because you realized I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, we were both in it together.
Yeah, the one thing I think I remember most making stuff was the web series that we shot in one day,
Yes. Oh my god.
where it was what was that called again?
The Young Professionals Network.
Young Professionals
Yeah.
Network. Yeah. The thing is that I actually initially had a sound person to help me, and then they bailed at the last minute. So it was
really?
just me. Yeah, and Nate had about 20 improvisers over 7 hours coming in and out of this small room at Second City.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those early days, kind of ignorant to how long it takes to shoot stuff. And I had shot a bunch of stuff before that, but I was just kind of yeah, we can get all this done in one day. And we shot 3 episodes that were maybe 7 to 10 minutes long each or so. And Jeff was one man banding the sound, everything. And I remember at the end we were both just so exhausted. I felt I couldn't even like think. And but that was really fun.
Do you remember the last shot?
No, I feel like I blacked out by like the last 3/4 of it.
Yeah, we ran over on time, and so we thought someone would come in at any moment. And the last shot was me like filming you wearing a thong.
Oh yeah, you were getting like a close up of like my hairy ass, like. It's so funny because that's like so stupid, and we were probably doing it like so seriously, like. Yeah, get in. Like, I want people to see that like pimple right there on the ass cheek. You know?
That's amazing. I don't know how much you would want to talk about Mr. Simp Sexual, but like I feel like that's really blown up on TikTok at least. I've been following you on Instagram, and it's been great there, but I was not aware you had like over 100K on TikTok. But
yeah, I like kind of I don't want to say like kept it a secret, but it was like a little project that I wasn't posting anywhere, and I was just like making it like kind of as like an inside joke for a couple of my friends, and it just started blowing up like organically, and I really liked the like keeping it away from like the comedy community because I really wanted it to feel like this was like a real person and teetering on the line of like, is this a joke or like I wanted people to be really confused when they looked at that page. But now it's like I think it's a little bit more obvious that it's a joke.
Yeah. I think initially I think you absolutely fooled a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Into thinking it was a real person because you were getting on like TV shows.
Yeah.
Where people were making fun of you, but what they were doing was just giving you free publicity because you were doing that completely deliberately.
Yeah. And if people don't know, Mr. Simp Sexual is a character who's has drawn on. I'm bald, and you can't see from my hat right now, and I draw on hair with a Crayola. Washable marker, and I draw on a really thin chin strap onto my chin, and where just everything that I have, like the glasses and the earrings, are like, you know, the budget for this character is like under $10 on Amazon. Like, it's low budget, and Mr. Simp Sexual is the horniest man on the planet. Lives in Michigan, and he thinks that like. Doesn't really know how to use TikTok and thinks it's like a dating app. And it came from like, you know, on TikTok, it's mostly for, you know, dancers and like teenagers and college age kids. But there's this whole other sector of TikTok where it's just these weird like adults, and the younger people are like, get the hell off this app. Like, this isn't for you, you know? And it's so funny to like kind of I like that aspect of like you don't belong here kind of a thing. And but the way the algorithm works is that it'll just show up on people's feeds. Like you kind of have no choice. Like it'll just pop up on people's feeds who don't want it there. And they're like, oh God, like what the hell? I did not want this.
Yeah. I really like your comment sections because most of them are like, "This was my last TikTok for the day." Like, I'm gonna log off now.
That is like my favorite part, just seeing people like, they're like, "Bro, I just woke up. Like, what the fuck?"
Yeah. My favorite one I think is it's like the hack where you use the part of the toothpick as like an earwax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use the toothpick and like shove it up my. What do I do? Shove it up my nose and then just eat it and like, oh my God, like what the fuck? People hated that one. I love the grossness of it too. Like he kind of like says things really sexily, and it kind of veers off into like, you know, non-sexual, teetering on like really disgusting commentary.
Yeah. I mean, for real though, I love using platforms like TikTok, like you do, where it's actually becomes its own like art form. because you're doing, something that's completely against what the platform is for.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. You've done it successfully. I tried to do something like that with an Instagram story where I shot it on like a cinema camera, like sideways, and then did this very heavily edited story. So then when people were going through their Instagram stories, there was this like really weird thing where I was like in front of a black background and like all this special effects and like, tens of thousands of dollars of lighting.
I love that.
But
I think that people should use like everybody on social media is just such like you benefit from being like a clone on there, especially on TikTok. Like it's made for people to follow trends and do what everybody else is doing. But I feel like there just needs to be more. We need an awakening of originality on these platforms. And I do want to say this: I've had so many content violations, community violations on TikTok. The community I can't believe I like chose this app to put this character on, and I feel so frustrated by doing it because the character is so nasty and so sexual, but it goes completely against all of the community guidelines on TikTok. Like basically there was a point when like probably 70% of my videos were like instantly banned from TikTok, and I did have an full account that got like shadow banned, and my live is banned on the Mr. Simp Sexual account because I went live one time as that character and I was like and I just can't help myself. I was like I was just like improvising as the character, and I was like just doing this grinding tutorial and showing people like how to grind. And I was using this huge pillow, and I was just like really like kind of like fucking the shit out of this pillow on TikTok live, and it was just like boom, like done, banned, you can never go live again. So it's been.
I'm just wondering if someone at TikTok was watching that.
I think there's one person who's like on the community guidelines violation team who's like specifically on my account, like, and has to watch. And I hope it's some like sheepish like evangelical Christian or something like that who wants no part in watching my videos or dealing with this and has no idea it's like a character. That's why I hope it's somebody. Yeah. I'm ruining somebody's day at TikTok headquarters.
I know Jeff like briefly mentioned it, and I was just gonna ask you like kind of what the weirdest or craziest thing to come out of doing this character has been, because I know you were on Your Mom's House, which was the Tom Segura podcast, which I thought was hilarious because I feel like they're comedians who didn't get the joke. But I was just gonna ask like if there's anything else that's been really unexpected to come out of doing this character.
I think that was like the one of the most gratifying things I'd say is being on the Your Mom's House, because Christina P, who's co-hosts the show with Tom Segura, she's like in her bio on like Instagram says like TikTok curator, and she's kind of like the queen of cringe TikToks, and they have like, you know, they just feature like all the cringe content on there. And so I thought of it as like an honor that I like passed. Not only did I like get featured on like a people thinking it was real, but it was like, you know, the person who's like an expert on the cringe content there, like thought it was real. So it was like a really huge honor that I convinced them. And I think that account got banned that she was posting about. So I think she might have caught on. I don't know how, but I think like it became more apparent, like, and I intentionally made it a little bit more like obvious, like that it was a joke, because I was like, I kind of don't want people to really think this is like a real person, like. But I think that, and like there's been a lot of like, it's like such a mix of responses, because like my DMs on TikTok and Instagram and whatever are like either like fuck me daddy or or like I want to show up to your house and kill you. like there's no in between. Like people either want to like fuck the shit out of Mr. Simp Sexual or they want to murder him, and it's just so polarizing. Like I think that has been like a really unexpected response from people, but I enjoy both. So if you want to kill me or fuck me, like I appreciate both sentiments.
That's amazing. Well, we can get into the movie if you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, there is, I think, some crossover in Mr. Simp Sexual
Absolutely.
and the film that you picked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we usually ask the guest why they pick this film. So if you want to elaborate.
Well, I picked This Is Spinal Tap because, one, it's one of the greatest comedy films of all time. And I really love comedy filmmaking in particular. And I feel like it is a very dying, maybe dead. It feels like a dead genre right now to me, personally. Because, one, the film industry is just, it feels like it's tanking, and the amount of people that are interested in making comedy films, I feel like, has dwindled just because of the rise of television. And I think people that would go on to make great comedy films would rather make a TV show, and it's totally understandable. Like, that's where the money is. I think it's like maybe easier to get into that industry right now, and it's bigger. But I don't know. I just originally saw this movie in college when I was first getting into doing improv and getting my start writing and just getting into the comedy world in general. And it blew me away as like a movie that was just paced so slowly, and it's so patient, and the jokes are just, they're so authentic, and I just never seen a comedy film like that, and I rewatched it for this podcast, and it just like proves everything that I was thinking about it previously, is that it's like I feel like there's such an absence of pacing in comedy right now, and this movie is just like, it was felt so good to just watch something that was just like took a breath, and it was like it just felt even more original like now, because everything is so fast paced right now. So I just think it still stands out today as one of the great comedy films, and I think people shouldn't forget about it.
Totally. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought it up. I feel like Jeff and I have accidentally or in some way referenced it a few times on the podcast, so it's good to finally, I think, talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just watched it for the first time, like 2 months ago, to be honest. And yeah, as someone who's like just now watching it, who's like relatively young, like way after it came out, like it still holds up so well, like for its time. Like this is still very funny and would hit just as hard if it was released today. And like, I feel like that's super special in itself.
Yeah, and I think like comedy has such a shelf life, like a low shelf life, and I think like Chris Rock might have said this once of like you look at something that was made in like the 80s, like a comedy especially, like that was written, and it does not hold up because comedy just evolved so much. But this is so based in reality that it really does feel like a timeless thing that you can just watch no matter what era, and it's still really funny.
Yeah.
So this is the second time I'd seen it, and the first time was probably 10 years ago. And what struck me was, and I think this is why it holds up so well, is just the subtlety in the comedy. Where it's, I mean, again, kind of like Mr. Simp Sexual, in that the ambiguity of, is this real or not? And I'm sure that was much greater when it came out, when you didn't have the internet and can be like, wait, is this a real band? But yeah, the ambiguity and is this real? Because they didn't go overboard with making it so ridiculous that it's unbelievable. Everything is just ridiculous enough to where it is still plausible this could have happened.
Yes, that is like probably my favorite part of the whole movie is that I really love the response from the rock and roll community to this film. And when I first watched it, my friend, my roommate actually in college, he was really into, classic rock, the Beatles, like, and was like historian level of all that stuff. And he told me, I don't know if this is true, but and I couldn't find this anywhere, but he said that a member of Aerosmith like thought it was a real documentary about a real band. And it's like you I just thought that was so funny, because it's like, this is the person that this is like parodying is like, a member of a huge band like this, and even they can't suss out whether this is like fiction or not. And I mean, I'm sure that musician, whoever that was, is probably a little bit of a fool, because I think it is it is obvious that it is a comedy, but I think it's funny that it fools people into it's in that sweet spot of like fiction and nonfiction.
Yeah, I think a lot of the comedy also comes from the fact that you're aware that even though you're not being fooled, it's like you're in on the joke, but you're aware that it's just, close enough to reality that it could fool someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I think, because again, that's the same with your Mr. Simsexual, is that part of the joke when you're in on it is that you're aware that it will fool other people. And that's like what's funny, is to be like part of, the in crowd on the joke.
Totally.
I was just going to ask, like, if you have seen, I know this is like technically not a Christopher Guest movie, but like if you're a fan of Christopher Guest at all, or like have seen any of his other mockumentaries.
Yeah, I love Christopher Guest. Like, I think those are another group of films that I feel like are like timeless. Like, you can just watch them over and over again. And I really just love, like, I think what connects like Spinal Tap and Christopher Guest and the documentary now is the use of improvisation in film. And all of them, because like most of the dialogue in Spinal Tap and in Christopher Guest films is completely improvised. And I think there's such like an authenticity to it. And especially in Spinal Tap, they said that they used a lot of the first takes just because they wanted all the other actors in it to be surprised by what everybody else was going to throw out. Like, they had like, outlines for stuff kind of like in Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I don't know. There's just, I guess as a comedian, I am a little bit distant to like written dialogue or like just contrived comedy in a way, like written setup, punchline, wordplay type of stuff. Like, that doesn't do it for me personally. Like, I get that is a function of comedy, and a lot of TV comedy is built on wordplay and really clever joke writing. But the funniest thing to me is performance and capturing authentic performances. And I think that this is Spinal Tap, and in all of Christopher Guest's movie, he casts literally incredible people who are really good at improvisation and just lets them go. And I think that you don't see this a lot in films, is because it's hard to convince people with money to like give you just tell them,
like,
I don't have a
improvise.
like, we don't have a script. Like, they had a tough time making this Spinal Tap. They were given $50K to write the script, and they spent 3 days in a hotel room trying to write the script for This Is Spinal Tap. And at the end of it, Rob Reiner was like, I think he was like, this isn't working. Let's just shoot a demo and like improvise it. So they took the money that they were given to write the original like rough draft, and they just shot a 20-minute demo of what This Is Spinal Tap, and a lot of it did make it into the actual film. Yeah. But yeah, they were like, I think they said that like Rob Reiner and when they were pitching this to studios, they were just like, "What? Are you kidding me? Like, no way, we're not going to do this." And it's always I also love it because I love the thing that is there's so much resistance to it, but then it becomes a great thing. Like I feel like Seinfeld was that way. Like they initially like the ratings for it. I think like Seinfeld has like a plaque on his desk that says like a really low, like the lowest audience score rating of any TV show, and then it becomes one of the greatest shows of all time. And same with This Is Spinal Tap. It's just so funny that like executives can't realize or trust like artists, I guess. Like I think that really pisses me off about like the film industry and just the industry in general, is that there's a lack of trust, but I guess that there is a reason why that's the case. But sometimes it's just best to believe in these artists and let them like do what they think is going to be the best version. And it's like, this is one of the greatest comedy films of all time. Like, and so many people doubted it.
Totally.
So do you think, because not only are you a comedian, but you're also a very good improviser, and you're probably one of the only people that actually has at some point been paid to improvise, which is because that was one of the sections when you were on the Second City main stage. There was like an improv section of that, right?
Yes. So I was on the Second City main stage and did 2 reviews, and the way that works is, so I'm like very familiar with the improvisation, especially with creating material. That's where I'm more interested in that art form. I'm not that into like the pure art form of like improv as its own thing. Like we all create it together, get a suggestion from the audience. That's great and all, but I really love it as a tool, and a tool to reach like more authentic moments, and get rid of that like the kind of like arbitrary, in my mind, like filler dialogue, and really you get to these like really surprising moments when you get to improvise. But in Second City there would be a whole sketch show that was sometimes created through improvisation, and then you script it out later over many repetitions of doing it on stage. And but most of it was just straight up written, and I think that's like a big misconception with the Second City process. But there is a lot of improv that goes into it. But at the very end of the show, when the lights go down, you do like a 2-hour sketch show, and then you say, hey, would you like to see a little bit more? And then we just do some improv games and freeform. It's different every night. But yeah, for 2 years I improvised like every single night and have a lot of experience doing improvisation. But I just really love like it, specifically in filmmaking, improvisation, and I think it's such an underutilized tool. And I think Jeff, you shot the Versace Angels video, but my favorite person, and I really love directing improvisation. Like I love just like Eric Rahill, who was in the Versace Angels video. He's like one of my best friends, and I think just the funniest person on planet Earth. And like my favorite moments shooting stuff is just being behind the camera and just being like, Eric, do this, and just seeing somebody like knock it out of the park, and then you have this feeling inside of you like, oh my god, this is the fucking take. Like that's my favorite feeling on earth, is like, oh shit, like this is the fucking yes. It's like
I remember one line he said while we were shooting that I thought was so funny. It was when he said he like was lining up demons and like shot them all in the head.
Yes. Yeah. His character is like an angel, and he was like, he just got into this like really dark, like apocalyptic version of what heaven and hell is like. And Eric's mind is like just so wonderful, and it's very violent too, and can go so dark. And the way he says it, he's just he does it with such a straight face, and it's so believable. He's such a great actor that it's just incredible.
The best part was then he like flipped it so that didn't actually kill me. He's like, yeah, and they were pissed.
Yes. Yeah, and you could only get that through like, I could have never written that line. I don't think
no one would have written
Eric couldn't write that line. It's just like there's just this atmosphere when you get into like kind of a zone, and literally just magic happens when you just kind of like trust your instincts and just shoot a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I want to like quickly say something about that because I fully agree. I've been watching Succession recently, and that show, it's like not entirely a comedy, but it's such a good example of like, I just know like a lot of it is improv, and it just goes way past what I feel like people look at improv as, because it works really well in like a dramatic context too, where it's like, I don't know, like you said, you just get like so much more authenticity, even if it's just filler, really.
Totally. Yeah, there's this speaking of drama and improvisation, are you guys familiar with the filmmaker Mike Lee? Mm-hmm. He like his process, and he makes a lot of, I think everything he makes is like basically a drama, but he really focuses on character and does like a lot of rehearsals, and his movies are totally improvised, and they are, very critically acclaimed. People love them. I think they're really amazing, but I think it works on just any genre is especially in drama. And I'm such a fan of Succession. That show is so amazing, and it's produced by Adam McKay, which is one of my heroes, and he came from Second City, which did basically the same job as me. Yeah,
that's really awesome. Anyways, back to Spinal Tap. I forgot we were talking about it.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. I think another part of this movie that works so well is that like past all the jokes, like the narrative of it that they somehow weave into the movie works really well. And I feel like that's a cool thing to come out of it too, because I feel like a lot of mockumentaries specifically, and this is the case with some of Christopher Guest's movies, it's like they're hilarious and they have like great characters, but the story is just kind of like there to keep it as a movie, whereas I feel like This Is Spinal Tap has a very clear story that works at the same time, and I just think that's cool.
Yeah, totally. Like I feel like narrative in a comedy is really tough because there's this other element. There's kind of like two pockets that need filled in like a comedy film, and it's like, okay, you need like a narrative structure to like take the audience through it, but it also has to be funny. So it has this kind of like two different things it needs to do, and I thought this movie just does so well on like narrative, and especially in like, I think the theme of it is pretty clear, like, and just about like, I thought like in the 80s when people watched this, it must have been so amazing because your view of a celebrity in that time, like there was no social media. You just saw them as the songs that they were making, or the maybe like brief appearances they did on one talk show that was on TV, and maybe like a Playboy interview at some point. And you didn't really see behind the curtain. And when you don't see behind the curtain, I feel like you think of these celebrities or artists as, deities in a way, and you kind of make your own assumption of what they're like in real life. And because their music is so cool, because the Beatles are so cool, you think that they're probably so cool in real life. And the fact is that the Beatles, Paul McCartney's probably boring as fuck to be around. You know what I'm saying? Like I bet you that's probably not true, but a lot of these legendary musicians are probably so boring and so stupid too. Like I love that this movie just kind of takes a jab at celebrity culture and just artists with bad taste in a way. Like all of the characters in it are just they're just so stupid, and it just shows how much of like fleeting a fad can be, because they go through all these different phases in the movie, like or they show that previously they were like, you know, kind of like a Love Me Do Beatles type band, and then they got into like the more psychedelic phase, and now they're on their way out. They're waning. Their careers are over, and it's just like I love it as like a satire, because it really does like just completely unravel what it's like to be a celebrity, a musician, a famous person, and it does it in such a smart and incredible way.
Totally. Yeah.
Have you seen The Ruddles?
No, I'm not familiar with that. What's the
Okay, so that was maybe, it's one of the first like music like mockumentaries, and it was an Eric Idle film from like 1970 about the Beatles. But just someone messaged me saying, because I brought this up before on the podcast, and someone is like, "You're definitely going to talk about the Ruddles a little bit." And I was like, "Okay, sure."
Well, let's dive in.
Yeah. So the thing about the Ruddles that's different than this is obviously the Ruddles is from 1970, where I think that the comedy, the vision of it was more of just saying, "Hey, look, here's a band that's similar to the Beatles," and they just kind of go through. The film is kind of like the section of this film where they go through like the earlier stage of their career, but it's the entire film is like that. So they just do chopped up like segments that are like, here's what the Beatles were like in 1968, you know, and it's a very interesting film, but this is a much more, the vision of this is much more apparent.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I still think the Ruddles is worth watching, because the songs in the Ruddles are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so you're saying
the guy
this
who
is
wrote
like
them actually got sued by the Beatles for being too close to Beatles songs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
But I think that the Ruddles had to have been partial inspiration for this.
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm sure all of them were like fans of Monty Python at that time. And yeah, I didn't know that. That's really cool. But yeah, and the music.
But yeah, if you like this, it's worth checking out.
I will check that out. But the music in Spinal Tap is like really good. Like it's like all of the like the music is written by like Christopher Guest and Michael McKean, and I don't know if Rob Reiner wrote some of the music, but they're all like really good musicians, and all of the songs are like, I feel like if this were made today, they would try to make the songs really funny, but the songs are like just, you know, they're just like slightly funny, and they sound like something you would hear on the radio. Like if you heard it on the radio, you'd be like, okay, this is like, you know, on the classic rock station, like this makes sense. This could be like a hit song. So it's just like that part of it is probably takes up a lot of real estate in the film, and the music in it is just like, it's really good.
Totally.
Yeah, the restraint shown in every aspect of this film to not go overboard.
Yeah,
like just the accumulation of all the subtle jokes. Is like what makes the film.
love when they like Christopher Guest's character is at the piano and he's like playing this like really beautiful like ballad, and he's just like, yeah, I just came up with this, and then it feels like it's like a 2-minute scene, and it's all just for one joke when he's like, the song, what's the song called? And he says like, it's called Lick My Love Pump, and it's just like this crass title. And there's a bunch of scenes in it that are like just really patient and really subtle, like the one where they're at that like tour launch party with Fran Drescher's character Bobby, and who's amazing. That was totally improvised, like that, all of Fran's lines in that, and I was like, that just felt so real, and I was really impressed by her performance in it.
Yeah.
But they just have like obviously like an STI on their lip, like both of them, like Christopher Guest's character Nigel and Michael McKean's character David, they both have like STIs on their lips, and it's like never referenced or like called out. It's just like they're having like a normal conversation that's not funny, and they just happen to have like this massive like lump on their lip, and it's like obvious that they both like hooked up with the same person. Like,
Yeah. I guess we can start wrapping things up because we have like a short Q&A. But if anyone has any like final thoughts on the movie.
oh, I'll say this: I feel like a lot of the style of Christopher Guest movies and This Is Spinal Tap is being seen in some of like internet, like social media videos, because I feel like people are I don't know, that like authenticity and that like kind of like John Early and Kate Berlant style of comedy, I feel like is influenced by Christopher Guest, and I feel like a lot of people are drawing inspiration from them, and I like seeing that. I think it's like making a little bit of a resurgence of just the kind of improvised dialogue and more authentic characters, instead of just being like a character with like a catchphrase and like all these hard jokes. It's like I like seeing that. So
Totally. Yeah. Cool. Well, we obviously we usually do like a little star rating at the end. I really love this movie. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I don't know what everybody else is thinking.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at as well.
yeah, I have to give it above that because I picked the movie. So I'm gonna give it a 4.6. I'm not giving it a 5.
Yeah, for sure. It's not there yet.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we have a very brief Q&A. These come from our subreddit, r/Karstcast. I'm going to stop recommending people go to it because it's a mess. But if you find yourself there...
It's literally all, like, people putting our faces with, like, deep fakes on, like, Britney Spears.
Terrible deep fakes. But, yeah, this first one comes from Sachun at Luri, and it is, what is the best moment you've ever had in a cinema? I did not give you guys the questions beforehand, so I'll give you guys time to think.
No.
I have mine.
No, okay, I mean, yeah, okay, Nate, you go.
Mine was probably seeing the first Jackass movie, because I feel like I've never been in a theater where people were like that audibly active, like laughing or screaming. Like, I had never seen a movie where people were just like, it was packed and people were just grossed out and just crying, laughing. Like, it was just a movie experience that I had never had before, especially watching like comedies, like to see people like have that big of a reaction in the theater. So
yeah.
Mine's Jackass, the first movie.
That's awesome. Mine is also a comedy. It was, and this is just at the top of my mind, Greener Grass. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I saw it at Sundance at the midnight screening, and it was after like 3 other movies I saw that day. Like, I was exhausted, and it's just, I think it's a hilarious movie, and I was so sleep deprived that I was like losing my mind at it, and most of the audience was too, but there were also like a good amount of people just walking out, and it was just a really wild experience to witness, especially because it's such a weird movie. But yeah, it's the best one in recent memory.
Yeah, I would say that mine is watching an episode of the web series I directed that Dan White wrote, which Dan White went to Ohio State with you, right, Nate?
Yes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was played at the Music Box Theater, so that was fun to watch. It was like, 700 or 800 people watching it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Speaking of Dan White, I just you're familiar with the fan account, Jeff. There's one for me called Sexy Boy Karsten, and I was tagged in a post this week, and I just realized Dan was following that account, which is super random, but yeah. Anyways, this next one comes from Shama 5115, and it is top 20-minute episodes shows. Just shows that have 20-minute long episodes. And And someone in the comments said they bet I'd say How To with John Wilson, and I'm gonna say that. I think that's the best 20-minute episode show out right now. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But yeah,
that show is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is Pen 15 count as a 20-minute show?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll go with Pen 15. That show is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say Nathan for you, even though obviously it's not playing anymore. If you have not seen that by now, you should go watch that.
That's the greatest show of all time.
Cool. And that's all the questions we have for today, actually. Just 2 quick ones. So I guess we'll just wrap things up and say...
I do have one last talking point for Nate. I just forgot the title, but I recently, for the first time, saw the video on your YouTube account where it's you, where you're in that talk show with, I guess it's a rapper that does not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain what that is?
Okay, so this is a YouTube video called Lit Vibes, and I am such a fan of Nathan For You, Ali G, like some of my favorite stuff is where somebody's not in on the joke and it's like a comedian doing it. So I was like, I want to try and do something like that. So I created kind of a fake show that's kind of based on the No Jumper, if you're familiar with that, and this, I forget the Complex show I based off of. But anyways, just like interviewing like an up and coming rapper, beat producer or something like that. And I'm like, there are so many kids right now that want to be famous and they want to be like these larger than life rappers that I just wanted to just like meet a kind of like shitty white kid rapper, and I enlisted the help of some younger people that came to one of my live shows, and I was like, do you know any person that would fit in this category? And they were like, this guy named Traffic Willis. Like, that's his rap name is Traffic Willis. I don't know why he chose that to be his beat name, but this dude was like super focused, like, and he was really like excited to be a part of the show, and it was so surreal. Like we did like an hour-long interview, and the video is like 7 minutes long or something like that, and we just put this guy through like all of these different scenarios and had all these questions for him, and it was so tough because you have to like stay in character the whole time, and like just the behind the scenes element is tough because I have to like greet this guy as this person, and have like walk him through like where to sit and like have an after period. He was like, dude, do you guys want to chill? Like, he thought we were like sick. He was like, can we chill like after this? And and I was like just trying to get him out as soon as possible because I was like, I just need to like fucking like breathe and not be. You really have to like be in character the whole time, like on and off.
Your wardrobe for that was insane.
Yeah, I just bought a bunch of like shitty stuff off of ASOS.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, Nate, do you have anything to plug or promote before we sign off?
I guess just follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Nate Varrone. Or Mr. Simpsexual on TikTok.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, Jeff and I will see you guys in the wrap up.
Always good to talk to you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Of course. And we're back. This is that wrap up we promised.
This is the wrap up of the Karstcast. What episode are we on?
107.
107. Big 107. You guys didn't think we'd make it this far.
We're doing that this far into the. Yeah, apologies for no news this week. We'll be back with the news segment next week.
There was just no news. That's what it was.
No news. Nothing happened this week. Yeah. What is the? Oh yeah. Okay. So we start by announcing next week's movie, and we've decided on
My Octopus Teacher,
available on Netflix conveniently. So check it out. I'm Jeff has not seen it yet. I'm honestly, it's like a really good podcast movie. I feel like
Okay, good.
documentaries are usually good because it's just real things that happened and there's fun stuff to talk about there. And it's nominated for an Oscar, so it's relevant.
Perfect.
Next, we want to read a review to encourage you guys to leave reviews. I always forget to wait. I think I have it on this one. I do. This one comes from Chartable. Okay, and this one comes from Donald Mooney, who's a frequent viewer of the live stream. I recognize the name. Comes from Great Britain. Subject line is a podcast for the ages, 5 stars, and it reads, listening to this makes me happy. What's the best thing about Switzerland? The big flag, or the flag is a big plus.
You know what? That's all we could ever ask for. That you're happy listening to us.
Right. Yeah. And that you also
the
like
highest compliment. And also that you like Switzerland. That's big. If you didn't like Switzerland, you know what? Get out of here.
Yeah. And you got the joke, right? The flag is
I didn't at all. I figured there was a joke.
Okay,
I was not.
Here's the thing. He told that same joke in my live stream saying, best thing about Switzerland, the flag is a big plus because the flag.
I get it now. I get it.
And I didn't get it. But now I do. But thanks, Donald Mooney. That's a good joke. Next, we want to thank our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/Karstcast. The best part of the podcast is thanking these names.
And they're the best patrons around. So
yep. And also,
my favorite part, listen to you read the names.
Read the names, yeah. That second March episode will be coming. Might be out I don't know when we're going to do it, but it's my fault. I deleted the file. So we are going to re-record it. You're getting those questions answered. Super sorry to all the patrons and to Jeff.
You know, I honestly,
this is my fault.
I deserve it.
Yeah, well, no, but okay, yeah. Go to patreon.com/Karstcast if you're looking for a good way to support Jeff and I. $5 for all the perks, which include shout outs at the end of every episode, Zoom hangouts, exclusive Q&As, and much more. And $15 if you want your question read in the real episodes or the public episodes, as well as just supporting us a little extra. We'd appreciate it. But all that said, thank you, Addison Ware, AJ Ford, Ben Chow, Blake Root, Boy, Brock Schultz, Camilla, David Sir, Eden, Grant Gow, Harry Remedianakis, Haytham Khan, I Don't Live in Ohio, Iva, Jaden Easton, Jacob Colness, Jane V, John Van Hout, Joshua, Chris Wicki, Judy S, Justin Dickinson, Katie T, Kaylee Patney, Liv Rob, Manu Ausen, Martin Def, Martina, Mary Lee Borslow, my lovely daughter Pearl, Micah Simmons, Monroe Page, Nora Barathova, Riley Ost, Robert Burke, Skylar Ermel, Sophia Arieta, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Smitty Werben, Jagerman, Jensen, Tump, de cours de français, traduisit la phrase suivante de après parti pour la meilleure équipe, ne lisez pas simplement ceci. 10 Billion, The Monopoly Man, Tom Lakes Beans, Vegard Strom, Vera S, Wes Kinley, Xavier Fossier, and Youssef A.
You know, the pronunciation on that sounded pretty solid.
It's definitely not. It's definitely Tant de cours de français. I do get français. Oh, by the way, Jeff.
Yeah.
I've been taking Duolingo for Swedish. Trying to learn
Duolingo for Swedish.
Yep.
I have Swedish friends. If you once you get to that level, I can, hook you up with them and they can tell you that you're doing, I'm sure, great.
Yeah, we can do a podcast with them entirely in Swedish. I know how to say woman, which is kvinnan, and man is mon.
Perfect. That's all you need, honestly.
My favorite is saying good morning, which is good morgen. Pronunciation, we're still getting there.
You're getting there, though.
First week beginner's level.
Week, right.
Yeah. Well, all that said, that's the episode. Jeff, do you actually have anything to say that we didn't get to touch on?
The way you phrased that kind of sounded like an insult.
I realized it, and I was like, "That's not
like,
what
I
meant."
Do you actually have anything to say?
Do you actually have anything? That's not the way. I just meant like we didn't get a chance to really talk this episode because we had a guest on.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm good. We'll talk in the next one,
We will talk in the next one. That's guaranteed.
as we always do.
As we always do on this podcast. All right.
What if we
Jeff-
released the podcast that was just silent?
We should have done that for April Fools. Fuck.
Okay,
I
next
did have
April
an
Fools.
I had that one April Fool's idea, but we didn't go through with it because
Right, it's because it would have only worked if we released an episode on April 1st, and
April
that
1st.
didn't work with
Didn't
our
happen.
schedule.
yeah. So maybe next year. I don't actually know.
We'll see.
Yeah. So Jeff, do you have anything else to say?
Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.